Hey, Maxim here. Okay, so this video is probably gonna be the most controversial. And I know I've recorded some weird videos, but this one is kind of touches on a topic which everyone agrees on is good, and I kind of don't. So today is 23rd of February. In my home country, Russia, it's a certain celebration. And the celebration is called the Day of Protector of the Motherland. And essentially it is the day of, it used to be called the Day of Russian Army, but they renamed it after the one of the World Wars, I think after the second one. So I was sitting there with my parents having a dinner, and they were watching the news, in which it's all like, oh yeah, it's the Day of Protector of the Motherland, let's talk about our military forces, because they're so great and stuff. And they talked about our protectors of the motherland in Syria, and protectors of the motherland in all the other parts of the world. And I was listening to all this, and I'm like, started to get really sad, because why are we fooling ourselves? Why are we calling it protector when it's not? So my parents were like, "Whoa, what's wrong? Why are you sad?" So I told them that, and that, you can guess, is a very controversial topic. So it started a heated debate for like an hour, which had a lot of different topics came up. And one of the topics was, so I was basically saying that it's not protector, it's the day of a military force. Call it the day of a military force and admit it, don't pretend it's some kind of a day of protector. Because, yes, there were protectors of motherland in World War II, where Germans attacked Russia and they were protecting Russia from evil Germans. So that went into the whole discussion where a lot of us has been brainwashed, including myself, that like the Germans was pure evil, that they were just like unhuman, that they were born evil, and the only way to get rid of them is to just destroy them. Which led me to like a lot of discussion about the pure evil with my parents, and it's kind of a funny discussion because after trying to explain to them the concept that the pure evil as in its form is a human concept, it's the thing that we have invented, the thing which doesn't actually exist. It's the thing that we create so we justify actions, because it's judgment. Someone makes a mistake, and yes, sometimes this mistake leads to someone's dying. But what we do then is we take this mistake and we, based on this mistake, we tell who this human is. So let's say a person gets drunk, for whatever reason, let's not talk about why they get drunk. They went on the road and they kill pregnant women. So they were driving drunk, they didn't notice, they killed them. Evil, right? Like, complete evil. Should we kill them? If we kill them, what is it gonna do? How is it gonna help us as a society grow? Well, we're gonna get rid of unwanted elements? Okay, so we're gonna show our young generation how do we deal with the unwanted elements. What do? We kill them, or we lock them in a prison for life. And guess what? Where do we learn bullying from? Unwanted elements. I don't like someone in school. What I'm gonna do with them? I'm gonna humiliate him. I'm gonna put him in a locker, and I'm gonna bully the fuck out of them because they are not wanted. And this is the behavior I have learned. From whom? From a society. Which shows And what happens when the evil Germans arrive? Then, of course, they are pure evil, we should destroy them. The only problem with this approach is the Germans think exactly the same way. They thought that communists are pure evil. So you have one side which thinks the other side is pure evil, and the other side which thinks, then if you both think that you're both pure evil, how can it be possible? And maybe you're just being manipulated. Maybe you're just being manipulated by a group of people who just want to get richer, who just want to divide the wealth, divide the power. So they're telling you all kind of shit, all kind of bullshit, which makes you believe that the other person is just pure evil. Like the Germans were just inhumane. They were, and whenever they give birth, it was just like a Nazi straight out of the woman vagina. Nazi came and they like, whoa, hi Hitler, and they go and kill people like when they were toddler. That's pretty much what like I made this extreme example to my folks, and they're like, yeah, some people just born evil. I'm like, no, they still human. Doesn't matter what they did, they still human. And they went to like this extreme example. There's like this guy in Russia, his name is Chikatilo. It's like a known serial killer, and he killed like over 80 people, and he's supposedly like completely nuts. And so they're like, this is a pure evil example, and still not. I don't believe he was born to be a serial killer, and then he killed, like he born and he like basically slit the throat of his doctor and he became pure evil. That's not the case. And it's not. There are certain reasons why people become like this. Some of them psychological, most of them psychological, some of them physical. But understanding of those reasons, and they can be as dubious as the mother of like that person had a very bad depression, so she gave birth to a person who could not relate to other people, which basically make him feel alive only when he killed people. Hey, Dexter, they make a TV show about that. He felt alive, like the way they portray them there, like he feels alive only when he kills people. Is it pure evil? I don't think so. I don't think it's a pure evil. It's like, it's not necessarily you need to understand those people, but accept them as humans too. Is that what makes a difference? So all this led me to a discussion of extremes. And who know me, the people who know me know that I'm like extreme. When I like go running, I would just go running like crazy for like 26 kilometers every day. That's like extreme. And I'm extreme. I know that. I'm intense. I do things without like, hey, just go for it. And my last relationship was a good example. Is where we moved together on the 9th day, and then we traveled together a month into relationship. Extreme. So, but in a scenario of good and evil, I don't think extremes are necessary. What is it's like yin and yang. This whole concept of yin and yang, and if you look at a bit further into Indian, in the Indian religion, they had a myth of creation of the world, and the creation of the world was happened by two entities. Supposedly they're masculine and feminine, but that's yin and yang. But what if it's not masculine and feminine only? What if it's a balance between good and bad? Because imperfection is what makes us human. It's not the perfection we fall in love with, but it's with imperfection. So it's with bad. So if we were just good, then wouldn't be attracted to each other. So this whole concept, I And like another controversy in this video, I don't believe that the actual definition of heaven and hell is correct, because they are separated there, right? So they're like, we're gonna separate them and create two separate worlds so that you want to go there, but you don't want to go down. And I think this is actually a misinterpretation of what the original was. That there was no divide between them. The divide was created by humans so they can control people. Because if there's no divide, then how can you tell them like you need to do this if you want to go there? You don't need, like, you can't, right? Because you don't have like the carrot. Here's the carrot. But what if the carrot is always there? What if it doesn't matter what you do, you still go to the same place? Then it changes things, right? Because you cannot manipulate the person then. You cannot tell them like, oh, you need to do this and this and this, and then you're good, and then you are gonna go to the heaven. But if you're gonna do bad things, you're gonna go to hell, and you're just gonna die there, and like, bad things gonna happen to you, and you're gonna get burned, and things like this. What if it's both? What if it's just one place, which doesn't have a divide? Because it's a balance. In Yan is balance. It's not something more black or something more white. They're equal there. So, what I think we should have is a day of remembering. Day of remembering our mistakes. And remembering those mistakes which led to military conflicts, which led to world wars, which led to people dying. This is what we need to remember. Not people who kill other people. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that people, like, the people who protected my motherland, they are, like, bad. But let's not take the courage that those people display and apply them now on the people who go and kill terrorists. Terrorists is another example of Nazis. Terrorist is pure evil right now. Like, not only in Russia, everywhere in the world, they are pure evil. There's this ISIS, which is a pure evil organization. And I don't buy this shit. That's what I can tell you. Because there's no pure evil. I can guarantee you, if you actually talk to people there, and I haven't talked to them, so this is my assumption, I might be wrong, but they are human too, and they have their own reasons, and they probably think that you are pure evil. And one example I read actually recently is that a guy who is like an ISIS member, I don't remember his name, he became terrorist because the safe from a terrorist operation accidentally dropped a bomb on his house with his family, killed his whole family, including all his children and his wife. And for him, suddenly, the NATO became pure evil because they have destroyed their family, his family, and they took his life, the life of those people that close to him. So I think the only thing we need to remember is that if we respond on the aggression with aggression, there will be more aggression, and then more aggression. Conflict just escalate. You can't de-escalate the conflict by punching someone in the face. It does not escalate the conflict. De-escalate the conflict. It only escalates the conflict because the other person wants to punch you even harder. So they might crawl at that moment, but then they crawl back and punch you again. So let's stand up for ourselves when we need to, but remember the mistakes which led to those conflicts. Why have the whole nation of people like human people who had brains, believed in the fact that they are the better race, and they went and destroyed the whole Europe? Like, this is the theory, right? This is the history lesson. Pretty sure it wasn't like this, but Why have they decided to do that? No one forced them. You can't force millions of people to just like go across Europe and kill people. You can't force people to do that. You need to convince them. So why it was so easy to convince to do that? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. And this is the lesson that we need to remember and learn from it, because we haven't looked at the freaking lesson. We just keep saying like, oh, Nazis was evil and we should just like kill any fascist or terrorist right now. Like, we also add a terrorist to it. Probably gonna add something else to it soon. Just so that there's more evil and we're more fearful, so it's easier to control us. It's not about who is terrorist or fascist or Nazis or rapist even, like. It's not... The actions do not define the person completely. They are just actions of the person. You don't need to approve of these actions. You don't need to accept them. You don't need to just lay there and be like, yes, kill me please, I love you. I'm not saying that. This is, you know, that new age thing. You'll be like, oh, you just go over them with love. Yeah, that's not gonna work. They're just gonna like shoot you and that's it, right? But what if there is more to it than the terrorists are just pure evil and it's their religion which is pure evil, or their ISIS which is a pure evil? It's not that simple. It's not that simple. We are humans. We are complex beings. It doesn't take like, hey, they're evil, go and kill them, for us to be convinced that every other person is evil. Like, imagine yourself, and if someone tells you that, would you go and kill them? Would you go, like, if you were given a gun and you were told this guy is a terrorist, would you kill them? A lot of people will say no. So why do you think that the people, like those terrorists, they are easier to convince to kill other people? Because what, they're lesser human being? Not really. We're born the same. It's our societies which fuck us up. So, if we don't learn from the mistakes we made in the wars, and we're gonna create more military conflicts because we praise our military forces as, oh, they are protectors of our motherland. No, they are military forces which you use for aggression. Don't bullshit people with protectors of the motherland when you go and try to invade other country, which totally is happening in Syria. It's like, it's not a protection of, it's pure political war. There's no protection of civilians there. It's complete bullshit. So I'm not saying you can like go on like on the street and be like, oh, against Syria. That's not. Learn why we're convinced. Why do we let politicians do this to us? We can change. Like, they cannot do this if people will just say, hey, I don't buy this bullshit about like terrorists are pure evil. Let's stop and like look at it. We don't. We just say it's inevitable. It's the way things are. So this actually is the topic of the next video. Which I'm gonna record right now because this one is getting too long. So I see you shortly. Maximum.